Hey, hey, Bandon Beach.
Bandon
We're gonna
Beach,
be
we'll be
there in
there.
Sep- we're gonna be there in September.
Yeah, fun, fun, fun. I haven't been
What's-
since COVID.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, you
yeah.
used to go every year, didn't you?
Every September, I miss it,
So is that
especially the what?
especially the witch's hat or something? What's that one called? Oh, I
I
thought there
don't
was a
know.
name for that one. You miss especially the what?
The halibut fish and chips at that little fish shack on the pier.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Expensive then, pre-COVID. I can't imagine what they are today. 30, $40. Boy,
Great.
are they good.
Look at this beautiful color photograph. Isn't that
That's
gorgeous? I mean,
exactly what I was thinking.
are
You know,
you
you know what you should do with that photograph,
what
John?
should I do with that? Oh, mentor, oh, wise mentor.
Convert it to black and white.
I wonder what that. I'll have to try that in black and white.
It may not work well. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
The moss would stand out wonderfully, but I'm not sure what will happen to those pink flowers. I guess you can make them dark,
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a try because you're my mentor and I do everything you say.
as you should.
Yeah. All right.
I have a request though. If you would start referring to me
Sure.
as a wise one,
Oh, gosh. Yeah. What's that?
a wise one,
Oh, wise one?
a wise one.
You know why I can't do that? Because I can't lie.
Yeah.
I cannot tell a lie.
Oh, you've told lies. I've heard you.
Uh, Like what? Your work is good?
Oh, Kathy, these are the best biscuits I've ever eaten.
They're hard as a rock, but as far as hard as a rock biscuits, they're the best I've ever had.
I meant to comment the other episode on what she said about those photos that you had up on the wall.
Yeah. Oh,
You
okay.
you know, let's pretend they were really old images and they were what you thought were good images at the time. That's really important because let's face it, we all might look back on work and think, well, that wasn't my best work, but we were proud of them at the time. And we got to keep that in mind as we view other people's images. Are they good for where they're at that moment? Yeah.
And the answer is always going to be absolutely. I find we're on a continuum, right? I mean, we're constantly practicing and it's never going to stop.
Yeah. We may look back at our work today and
Yes,
cringe a little and say, wow, I could have done that better.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this is our last one for the month or the day. Anyways, but you had written me a little while back about the theoretical versus the practical. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think what you were talking about, was kind of these common wisdoms that tell us, we're supposed to do something or not do something. You know, I, I'm going to go ahead. There was something that you had written that you want to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of riff on that and what your thoughts were to send me that.
Okay. I'll start off with the story that I told about one of our workshop participants. We're on the dunes and we're looking at all these dunes stacked, and it's quite a distance from the first dune to the last. And we're all using 400, 500 millimeter lenses. I was even using a 500 with a 2x converter,
Wow.
really compressing these layers and layers of dunes. And so the depth of field problem was tremendous because the first dune could be 30 foot away and the last one a quarter mile away. And I was shooting, stopped all the way down. And I forget with that 2x converter, it was something crazy like F72 or something ridiculous. And this woman asked me to look at her image. She had a problem. She couldn't get them all in focus. And I asked what aperture she was using. And it might have been f8, I don't recall. And I said, oh, well, you can't use f8 and get everything in focus. You've got to have maximum depth of field, stop it all the way down. And she goes, but I've heard that on this lens, that was the optimal aperture. And I tried to convince her that having a blurry image at the optimal aperture wasn't as good as having a slightly diffracted, theoretically diffracted image at a very small aperture, but getting the shot. And I'm not sure I convinced her of it. I had the feeling, well, yeah, whatever, I'm going to use my optimal aperture.
Yeah.
And it just kills me that we get into this nitpicky stuff that has a theoretical difference. When in truth, if we were to put up 10 images and say, look, one was shot at the optimal aperture, others were shot at a smaller one with theoretical, less sharp diffracted images, if anyone would notice or could pick out the difference.
Right.
I really doubt they could. That's not even talking about the feel of the image. If we were just looking at images for how they moved us, if we would say, well, this image behind you, John, really moves me, but I suspect you used F16 or maybe F22, and I think I can detect some diffraction, so I'm really turned off by it now.
Yeah. If that's what you're doing, you're barking up the wrong tree at that point, The other one is noise.
Oh,
You got to be at your base ISO all the time. And I'm guilty of this, but a recent podcast by that guy with the name that begins with a B.
BJ. BJ.
Yeah, because we don't want to mention his name because he keeps coming after us with lawsuits. But he helped me realize that that's at this point in time, being at ISO 400 and 800 versus 200, as long as you have a good bright day, you're going to have a hard time noticing the differences. So once again, I've been in the field where somebody's saying, but I don't want to be. Well, but if you're going to stop the leaves on the tree or the Spanish moss on this picture behind me from blowing, you're going to have to be at ISO 800 in order to get F16 or whatever, right? But it is interesting. We tend to find people who get trapped in this, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? To get trapped in this or mired in the weeds of this is how it's supposed to be. And if you want technically well, I don't want technically perfect all the time.
Well, there are theoretical differences
That's the
too.
word.
I mean, here's some other ones. You've brought this up before. People who won't shoot in midday sun. I do it all the time. People who don't shoot into the sun. Some of my favorite images are created because of shooting into the sun. The lady who told me I shouldn't put my horizon on the center line. My one mentor who said I shouldn't center the subject. There's all these common wisdoms. And if you're following those, you're unable to follow your vision.
Yeah.
You can't let them override what you see and what you feel and how you want it to be. It's just counterproductive to your vision.
So you don't like all these common conventional wisdoms, huh?
I think they're silly. I think they're absolutely silly.
How do you really feel though, Cole? Tell me, come on, get it out.
Again, where's our focus? If we're focusing on F8s and low ISOs, that's saying it's somehow in our brain that these technical, minuscule differences will make a big difference to the viewing experience, and they won't. I go back to my friend who talked about the migrant mother image and how he had focused here on her shoulder and not on her face. Yet, does it make a difference to anybody's viewing experience of that image and how it made them feel? No. I guess photographers might examine it with a loupe and say,
But who does that? When you buy a print and you put it on your wall, does anybody, I've never seen anybody go up close. I'm looking at my one above my desk here, I view it from 5 feet away.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, we do have the people who immediately get, like we went to Josh's studio and there's this giant print and there'll be people who get up this close to check the sharpness out. For what purpose? Is that how your guests in your home are going to view this image? No, let's get real. There's practical and there's theoretical. Theoretical rarely makes a big difference.
Yeah.
If any difference.
Yeah.
So.
All righty. Well, hey, it's been good to be with you today. And folks, thanks for following along. Ring the bell, tell your friends, share on all the social platforms, and you probably shouldn't be on social media anyways.
No.
All righty.
Take care. See ya.